to our episode, BVB Army Hearts to Hearts. I am Ruth.
And I'm Nicole.
And BVB Army, we have guests. BVB Army, we have our friends and of course fans of BVB on here with us here, and most of us should recognize these amazing friends. We do have one new one we finally got on our show. Thank you, Bellamy, for coming on.
Hello.
And of course, we have Cassidy here with us. We
As
have
always.
Victoria from Radioactive. We have Ian also from Radioactive. And we have the one and only Cheryl.
I like how we're in corners of your room.
We are so excited to all meet up here and have this very special episode with all of you guys.
This is what it takes to get us together. It's stuff like this.
Right.
It really is, though.
Facts. BVB Army, in case you guys did not know, yesterday was the only one and only Chris Biersack's birthday here. So once again, Chris Biersack, happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Uh-oh.
Oh, same language. Okay. We wanted to bring fans here and just talk and have this episode honestly dedicated to you, Chris, because you have done so much in general for the Army and just for the band, and we just want to dedicate this episode for you. So I hope you enjoy watching this and hearing this too. So for this episode, we are going to talk to everyone here what their experience with Chris and everything else. So let us dive into the first question that we have for everyone is, how did you guys first interact with Chris? That can be online or even meeting them in first person. Like, how was that for you guys in general? Just to
Cassidy beats everyone to the race.
Okay, Cassidy, go for
She's
it.
like, my turn.
My first interaction ever that I had with Chris and kind of my introduction to him was back in I think it was April of 2021. Victoria and I were talking about this last night. My first interaction that I ever had with him was after I put out my very first flute cover on YouTube, which was Scarlet Cross. I put it out, didn't really think anything of it, and then I saw that this guy, Chris Biersack, had commented, and I'm pretty sure, Ruth, I had messaged you, and I was like, or I messaged somebody, and I was like, oh my god, is this Andy's dad? And then I got confirmation that it was him, and then I freaked out. I ran out of a room, I told my dad, and he's like, I don't see what the big deal is. I was like, it's Andy's dad. It's Chris Biersack. Ever since then, he's been just watching and supporting flute covers. I know he watches many of the Black Veil Brides or guitar covers that Victoria puts out as well. So yeah, that was my very first ever interaction with Chris. So definitely one to remember.
I like how you even remember the year and the month of day.
I am the same way as Cassidy, because the first interaction I had with him was I think it was July 2020. And it was the first interview I did with Jake Pitts. And I saw this guy comment oh, I really enjoyed this interview. Great episode, whatever. And I was didn't even look at the username because that's me. I just don't pay attention because I don't know why. So I was like, oh, hey, thanks for watching. And I go back, I'm like, Chris Biersack. Why is that? That's Andy's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost it, and I went and told my mom, and yeah, I was freaking out. So that was the first interaction I had with him, and it was my mind was blown that Chris watched something of mine.
So it was, oh gosh. Okay, we're just going to go with fall of 2021 or maybe early spring of 2022. I was on Twitter, which I never thought I'd get back on. I kind of grew out of it after a while, but then I got back on, started seeing all these people in the Black Veil Brides community. I kept making tweets, and then I saw this guy named Ghost Who Haunts. He kept commenting, and he sounded very whimsical and very, very just full of wisdom. And I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. And then I come to find out, I think it was he put out a picture of him and Andy at a Bengals game or a Reds game. And I look and I'm like, holy shit, I think this is Andy's dad. And I finally figured it out. I got a confirmation from somebody. I put out that essay that I wrote for my junior level college writing class. Andy commented on it. And then Chris was also like, hey, thanks for sharing, man. I think a lot of people are really going to like this. And then I was like, oh my God, dude, Chris Biersack, Andy's dad, follows me. And I ran out and I told my parents, and they were like, Oh, they're so nice, sweetie. Thank you for sharing.
I think I want to say it was on Twitter, but I don't remember what year. I want to say it was 2021 as well, because I kind of rejoined Twitter back in, like, I guess 2020. It was shortly before, like, I don't remember. It was before, it was after Scarlet Cross came out. I know that, but I don't know if it was before or after Fields Bone, Crimson Skies, all of that. Phantom of Tomorrow era. I know it was that. But yeah, it was 2021, something on Twitter that he liked or retweeted. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, wait a minute. Is that Andy's dad? And yeah, it was Andy's dad. So I thought it was really cool.
That was back when his Twitter handle was still Chris Biersack. It was before.
Yeah.
Nicole and I have just discussed this from time to time on our podcast, but for those of us who are listening, I feel it's roughly the same. I feel like 2020 and 2021 is roughly when most of us had interaction with Chris, but it was through Twitter too. Well, actually, no, it was YouTube. Sorry, YouTube, because I posted a long time ago, like kind of my first BVB story type deal, and he commented, and I was at work, and it was during lunch break that I got a notification on my phone, and Chris Biersack commented on your YouTube video, and just like you, Victoria, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I didn't really think of it, and then during I was eating my lunch, I was just like, why can't I get this name out of my head? Like, I'm like, why? I mean, I know Biersack, obviously, because it's Andy's last name, but I'm like, Chris Biersack.
Well,
That
okay.
was your-
And the thing is, so many fans will have like their first name with Black Biersack 6, whatever.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Okay, so I have told Nicole this, and that I was straight up with him. You can dig on my YouTube channel; it's still there. That I had straight up asked him, like, Chris Biersack, is that your username, or you are actually related to Andy? That's when I commented to him. 2 minutes later, I was like, let me double check this online. And so I typed in Chris Biersack related to Andy, and then there his photo came up, that which linked me to his Twitter, which linked me to his YouTube channel, which linked me to the profile that looked on my comment video. And I'm like, oh no, what did I just say? That is Chris Biersack. No, that is Andy's dad. I freaked out during my lunchtime. I quickly said, like, oh my god, I am so sorry. You are actually Chris Biersack. I am so sorry.
Oh my gosh. That is so cute.
But like, that was our first interaction. And then I think he even commented on the video. Like, I posted this video on my Twitter. At the time, I didn't have a Twitter. Like, I had an account, but I didn't go on it. So like I told Nicole a long time ago, like I somehow knew the password, logged back into my Twitter, found him, followed him, and then the rest was history. And I joined Twitter then.
Yeah, that's so cute. I love these stories. All right, I'll go ahead and go next. Mine started with a friend of mine on Instagram who was also like, because I have my fan account on Instagram, that's where I started. And it was during the whole everybody pushing real hard for getting Billy Idol in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. So when Andy dyed his hair blonde and all that stuff. So she was telling me, get on Twitter. There's a lot of people using the hashtag and pushing it on Twitter. And so I got on Twitter and I started making these posts about, hey, you guys need to get Billy Idol on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I just kept doing it daily as something to try. So next thing I know, Chris is retweeting my Billy Idol tweets. He actually retweeted one of my poll tweets, dancing to Black Veil Brides. And I was like, oh boy. And so sure enough, I was just like, wow, he put that out there. Like, he's brave. You know, I had a feeling somebody would he'd get some backlash from that. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I figured out he was on Twitter. That's how we started interacting, was on Twitter and through the Billy Idol stuff. And I was reposting Andy's blonde hair and stuff with sayings like, hey, he's even in support of this. You guys get on board. And it still hasn't happened yet. It still hasn't happened yet. Yeah,
That's a shame.
Shame. We need to bring it up. I'll join you, Sherry. We'll keep retweeting it and stuff. And day one, asking for Billy. Yeah.
Cool.
I was gonna say, before I share mine, I just want to point out that I love how for all of us, it's always the same, because it always starts with, is that really Andy's dad? Or
I think for the majority of us, because I know Nicole's side, can I say this with confidence? Like, none of us knew that was actually Chris, Andy's dad, when we first saw the comment or notification, like we like had our doubts about it. Like we were like, oh yeah, that's Chris. No, like that is Chris. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, like how I met Chris was it was on Twitter back in like kind of late 2013, early 2014. I was posting a lot of like the modeling content that I was doing for Black Veil Brides, and I started posting like, because that's when I also started getting my BVB tattoos, and I would upload them to Twitter. And I'm assuming he must have saw it from like other fans like retweeting it and stuff like that. And I remember specifically on my tattoos, like he would always comment, like every tattoo I got, he would always write like, oh, thank you so much for sharing and making like the ultimate fan statement. And I was just like, who is this? Some fans use like the last name Biersack.
Catfishing. Yeah.
All of them
So
do.
I just
So many do.
Yeah, so like I just assumed that it was just like a fan, but like, you know, he had like his profile photo was of him smiling, and it said Chris Biersack or Chris A. Biersack or however he had his username back then.
Yeah.
And so I went to his profile page and I started like, you know, doing some digging, reading his bio, going through, and I'm like, oh my God, like a lot of people, I'm like, is this his father? And that's when I actually had to go to Google and actually look at photos of Andy and his dad. And I was like, holy crap, like this is his dad. So I can't lie, it got me super excited. And I felt almost annoying because every time I was going to post something, I'm like, I'm just going to tag Chris in it, you know, make sure he sees it. And pretty much from there, yeah, I mean, he's just been so sweet to me ever since.
Aw.
I love that. I love that so much.
All of
I
us either got through YouTube or Twitter of a response from Chris, and we're like, Chris Biersack. Okay, wait, Chris Biersack?
I think I'm the only one that didn't have that reaction because a friend of mine already had told me that was him.
Oh, so you already got the heads up.
So for those of us who have actually like met Chris in person, we would just like to know, like, how was that experience for you guys?
Okay, and you beat Cassidy. Okay, go.
When I first met him in person, so for those of us who were in Cincinnati, we were in everyone, well, except for Victoria, we were all in Cincinnati, and we just got done doing VIP, and we were huddled in a circle. We were like, oh my God, guys, that was so awesome. And then I look over and I'm like doing a double take. Oh, it's Chris. And I just screamed, Chris! And I just off like a bat out of hell. I must confess, I almost unintentionally killed him.
You ran so fast to him.
Yeah, you almost knocked him over.
Seriously.
I didn't want to like knock him over. I had to like kind of do and I just hugged him and we were laughing, and then all the other people were like, oh, Ian found Chris, let's go over and say hi. We all just started talking for a little bit.
I mean, I think for the majority of us, we did first meet Chris at Cincinnati. I know, Victoria, I don't think you haven't gotten a chance to meet him in person. I'm so sorry.
No, but if I could add in later, once everyone talks about Cincinnati, I can add in the first Zoom experience I've had.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That was
actually,
great.
why don't you talk about that now, actually?
Sure, I can.
Tell us.
So I'm going to go back just a little bit before we did that, or I did that first interview with Chris on my podcast. And so in fall of 2021, when The Phantom Tomorrow came out, I had reached out to him and asked if he wanted to come on the show to talk about the new Black Veil album. So yeah, we were talking and stuff, and he's watched many of my bass covers of Black Veil songs, right? So I remember him saying to me, he was like, Victoria, you're the one that does those amazing Black Veil covers, right? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I would be so happy to join you on your show. And I was like, oh, that's like, thank you. So yeah, he comes on the Zoom and he was just telling me like, yeah, whenever you get a band together, like you let me know and I'm going to promote the hell out of it and we're going to get something here. And like, he just showed so much support. And I know you guys all know what I feel about that too, because he shows every single one of you probably the same amount of support for whatever you do. So that whole experience was just like super cool. And at that point, it wasn't like, oh, it's Andy's dad. Like Chris is pretty much a celebrity in the Black Veil community. Like
he really
he's
is
his own kind of celebrity.
He is BVB dad, period.
Yes.
He is a celebrity, but he's so approachable.
Yes.
Like when I'm in front
100%.
of Andy, I lose ability to talk. But when I'm in front of Chris, like I could talk to him for hours. You know, it's like
Yeah.
he's approachable. Anyway, yeah. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
But yeah, that was pretty much my first encounter with him, like kind of like somewhat
Yeah.
face to face. And yeah, like you said, Sherry, he's just super easy to talk to, and he could just carry a conversation and take it so many different ways.
Yes.
He tangents like crazy, but I love it. You can have such a good conversation with him.
It blows my mind how he can talk from point A. He goes W, Z, Y, W, X, and do all the other, and goes back to point A somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how he always connects the dots, but he does.
Seriously.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And none of us have to ever wonder why Andy talks so much. He got it from his dad. Like, Andy will sit there if somebody has a conversation with you, but talk.
I mean, from my experience, I mean, like I said, it was the Cincinnati show, but at Trinity of Terror Leg 2, where we all met up. And like Ian said, VIP just got done. How VIP was set up, it was odd, but whatever. We were off to the side. And so, we were just kind of talking. And then I received a text message from him. And it was just a simple photo of a Zoom up that he took of us doing the VIP photo. And that's all he sent. And I'm like, he's here. Chris Biersack is in here. And then it was so funny though, because I was yelling Chris. Bad timing though, because Motionless was on stage. And so there was Chris from Motionless, and here I was yelling for a different Chris.
You were just like, not you, Chris.
Not you, Chris, different Chris. So
That's so funny.
then that's when I heard Ian just wow, went crazy. And then I just saw Zoom, Speedy Gonzalez. And then I saw Chris just walking casually just over to us, no big deal. And I'm just like, what? I will admit though, everyone was giving him hugs. I had a pause moment because I truly, yes, I did give him a hug, but I was legit fighting tears back because I was so excited and so happy. I was fighting these tears. I was I'm going to cry here, so I gotta wipe these tears before I hug him. And so when I did hug him, yeah, I couldn't hold them back. It was just this. I don't know. It was just I can't describe
It's like a surreal feeling.
It's a very surreal feeling. I just didn't want to let go. I was just so happy in that moment. So yeah.
I can confirm that she did cry. So the first time I ever met him was at the Trinity of Terror 2, Cincinnati. We were all there. I think I was standing next to Ruth at the VIP and stuff. And then Ruth had showed me the picture, and I was looking around frantically. And then Ian ran off and stuff. But yeah, I kind of lagged behind a little bit because everybody just sprinted almost. And I was well, I don't want to rush him too much. But I kind of I had Ruth went and hugged him and stuff. And I was just I was so giddy and excited in the moment. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna cry. But I ended up not crying, but it was fine. But just in that moment, just finally meeting him and stuff after we've had so many interactions with him and had such great conversations with him and kind of get to know him. It was almost, I don't know, it's cathartic in a way because the anticipation was building weeks ahead of time. We're gonna go to Cincinnati, it's gonna be so fun. And then finally just it was just that release. We finally got to meet everybody and be in that moment and forget about everything else that was going on in your life. So I can say for all of us that it was really, really, truly a moment of pure happiness and joy. And to have Chris be there and be, he's the BVB dad. So, it was very nice to meet him and kind of get to know him and stuff. And we talked about, or he wished us all to have a great time at the show and everything. And it was very nice to meet him. I can't say enough about him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I'll go next. Yeah. Pretty everyone except Victoria, Cincinnati show, Trinity Terror Leg 2. I considered getting tickets for the Asheville show that was the week before, but I was like, no, I can't pass up Cincinnati. And I'm glad I didn't because Chris is just I think he sent you the picture, Ruth, and then you sent that picture to me on Instagram. I was like, wait, what? Chris is here? I kind of figured he would be because it's Cincinnati show, but I'm like, wait, where's he at? Where's he at? And then you guys, I guess, no, yeah, because I'd heard you yelling Chris, and then Chris Motionless was on stage. I know. And I got to hug it. I was kind of a little starstruck. I'm not gonna lie. I was just it's just Andy's dad.
Aw.
But he's definitely easy to talk to, which is great because I am so socially awkward. Yeah,
I'm sure
he's
he's
very,
used
very
to that.
sweet.
He's super
Internally, I
sweet.
sometimes call him Dad. So,
Okay, so I met Chris in Cincinnati during the Shadow Side tour. It was pretty amazing. Like I said, we had some conversations prior to me going up there. And also, like, Andy Black coming to Nashville was just not happening at the time. And so I was just looking for the closest show. And Cincinnati happened to be one. I think there was going to be another one in Atlanta, and it fell on a day I couldn't go. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to Cincinnati. And that's when I had messaged Chris. I'm like, I guess I'm heading out to Cincinnati to see Andy. And he's all, oh, great. I'm going to be there. So here's my number. Text me and let me know when you get here. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And yeah, and I messaged him. We got there. Like, I always forget when I drive up there, the 1 hour difference in time. And so it just throws me off. So me and my friend run to our hotel. We throw everything in it. We call an Uber. We get down there. We're at the back of the VIP line. So he's like, great. I'm going to be by the merch table. Come find me. Cause I texted him. He said, come find me after the VIP. And that VIP experience, I can't even tell you, was incredible. I was at the very end of the line. We'll talk about that some other time, but I was at the very end of the line and I was bummed, but at the same time, it was really cool because I actually got more time to talk to him because he had gotten through the line pretty quickly. So anyway, after that, I went and found Chris. And like I said, he's so sweet. He's so approachable, so easy to talk to. He's not intimidating. He doesn't come across to people as like he's better than thou, he's just really easygoing, laid back guy. So talking to him, when I started talking to him, we'd had so many conversations about BVB and stuff on Twitter that I felt like I just felt like I knew him. So it was like I was talking to a friend. And then the show was getting ready to start and he was out there for a little bit with a cover band. Before Andy went on, he said, are you going to be hanging out at the end of the show? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, well, come find me. And I'm all, okay, what does that mean? And so I had brought a friend with me and we went and looked for him. I was sitting over by the backside of the venue there because we were at Bogart's where he did Battle of the Bands. So I was back there by the bar area and he came out and I saw him. I'm like, Chris. And he's like, hey, he's all, did you guys enjoy the show? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, all right. He goes, well, just hang out for a minute. We're going to bring you backstage so you can meet Andy.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
was
choke.
I'm just like, I'm kind of shaking a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even prepared for this. Like, I'm not prepared for this. Like, I already met him at the VIP. Like, I get to see him again, that kind of thing. We waited and he took us down to the little hall and Andy comes out and he's so funny. He's like, the hall people. He called us the hall people. Because Chris got me back there, my friend, another girl whose birthday was that night, and he told her father he'd bring her back there as a birthday gift, and so he met us, and yeah, and I don't know, some of you guys know this story, but that was when I met Andy. The words that came out of my mouth was, "I'm wearing your pants."
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember.
Yeah, that was the most intelligent thing I could say to him while we're there, and he's all, "Oh, you are." I said, yeah, I just bought them from Juliet on Depop. And he goes, that's great. He goes, and they fit you. Yeah, because he was a beanpole back then. He was a little guy. So I can't, and that was all over. And I just thanked Chris and I was like texting him on the way home. I'm like, you have no idea like how much that meant to me. It was an incredible night. I can't recreate that for sure. It was great, but that's Chris
amazing.
He's fantastic. He's just a good guy.
My experience with meeting him was also Cincinnati. I probably would have had another chance to meet him beforehand because I did go to Ohio like a couple years back in like 2016, but I don't know. I guess I felt weird writing him and being like, hey, I'm going to Ohio. Do you want to like meet up for coffee? My husband kept telling me to do it, but I didn't do it because I thought, oh God, he's going to think I'm really strange for that. So I didn't do it, but it was also meeting him at Cincinnati. Just as everyone has been saying, you know, Ruth showed Cassidy and I the text that she had gotten. And like, I think the moment after looking at it is when we just saw Ian running. And I was very confused. Then everyone started running and I was like, what is happening? So I was like left behind and I'm like, oh, and I didn't, you know, obviously I didn't run because I kind of sped walk though. I'm like, okay, I got to catch up with everyone. So meeting him, it was just like, because I wasn't expecting it to like happen that early. I didn't think it was going to happen during VIP, and it just honestly, it's too much to even talk about. Like it's just there's no words for how incredible of an experience that was. He was just so genuine and so sweet, and I think what kind of like made me really speechless was when he was just kind of hanging out and talking with all of us for a little bit. And he had let us know that like he had 2 extra seats available by him and Amy. And just knowing that like one of those seats was for me due to like my back complications, like I just felt really loved, honestly. So it was completely unexpected. The whole experience was so surreal, you guys. I wanted to cry, but I was like, don't ruin my monster makeup.
He's a dad. He's got to look after his kids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I guess for the next question is like, what is one of our top favorite memories with him that we've had so far? And Nicole, I'm gonna let you answer first because you've been last for the last 2 ones.
Oh no. Damn it. My favorite memory, no lie, it's Cincinnati. It's like obviously meeting him was amazing, but it's the day after when he did that entire group tour for all of us.
Yes.
It was the most surreal experience ever. It was something that I didn't think would ever happen. I didn't think that Chris would just be like, hey, yeah, welcoming us all with open arms, like, you know, come hang out, like getting in his car. I'm like, oh my God, we're getting in his car? He's driving? Like, spending the day with Chris Biersack was the most coolest thing that I could have ever done in life, to be honest. It was something that so unexpected. I didn't think it would ever happen. And I'm honestly glad that it happened with all of you guys. Victoria, I'm so sorry. I wish you were there. I'm so sorry.
All good. Hey, I only met like all you guys after that happened.
I know.
True,
It's all good. We're good. Maybe we'll do it again sometime and I'll find out. Cassie's been trying to convince me, so
Yeah.
Ian have been on my tail about it.
I'm just gonna say I wasn't at that tour thing because after we had the luncheon thing, I had to leave and drive back to Wisconsin. So I was crying when I left. Like I was sobbing because I was like, I miss everybody. Like I didn't want to have to go back. And I was also a little bit bummed that I had to drive back earlier because I truly did want to like go to the tour and stuff, or do the tour and learn a little bit more and spend a little bit of time with you guys, but I couldn't do that. But
you're a sap, Cassidy, because you were crying when I was leaving.
Yeah,
I was sobbing.
You're a little sap.
I will say I'm still kicking myself in the ass because I really
I'm like watering now too.
Wait, what was that, Nicole? Sorry.
I'm kicking myself in the ass still because I really wanted to get a photo with Chris. And I know we all did like the group photo, but for some reason in my head, I kept saying it's okay. You know, when the day is coming to an end, you can ask for a selfie with. It never happened. It's like I was just too starstruck to even like think about that. And now I'm like, next time.
It's okay, Nicole. I was there with you because that happened to me too. Yes, Sherry. It's Nicole and I did not get an intro photo with Chris because we did the group shot, but like so many emotions and thoughts were going.
Oh my gosh, how did you not do the selfie with him?
I don't know. Just
we were wrapped up in the moment. It
was like, okay, goodbye. Okay, tour. Okay, like we gotta wrap. Oh, goodbye. I'm like, things just happen so fast. Like
that's true. I get it. Yeah.
We're like, we did not get a photo with him.
Oh, dang it!
I know we were kind of like two sappy people in the hotel room. Like, what the fuck is wrong with us?
We're like crying about it. We're like,
I should point out that I actually did get a picture with him at the table because we were.
Rub it in, Ian. Rub it in. Rob salt in our wounds, sir.
Sorry.
Hey, at least y'all got to meet him.
Okay, fair. Okay, fair.
You're one step ahead of me.
It's funny because like the second time like I met Chris when I went to Cincinnati again for the Ghost of Ohio tour. It was one of those things where it's like, I'm doing a selfie with him again, right? So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, everybody talks about Andy. I'm like, Chris needs some recognition too. He does a lot for the fandom. So
Oh, definitely.
100%. I'll go next with my favorite memory, going kind of tailing off with Nicole. Like, I know for most of us, we got the beautiful, it was lunch. Yeah, lunch with him after the show at the, was it like I forgot the name of the restaurant, but it was like a German.
It was a German restaurant.
Yeah, it was a German restaurant. It was.
Yeah, I don't remember
I
the
was
name.
so excited.
It was
I was
just
so
awesome.
excited.
I still want a gallon of that beer cheese.
Yes, same.
Oh, yeah. I can
that
send you
whole
some.
like meeting up with everyone for the lunch and just hanging out with him and talking to everyone and catching up was amazing. But even the tour that he gave us, a little history of Andy and Black Veil Brides was amazing. But honestly, I think as of right now, my favorite memory, minus the hug, obviously, but was I just never, ever expected, let alone to travel to Cincinnati, meet up with amazing friends there, watch BVB, but also like, to get to sit down and experience a BVB show with Nicole, but Chris and Amy Biersack, that was a surreal moment for me. Like,
right.
Like, I just never thought that would happen. And then, Chris, you're so cute. I'm sorry. But just to see him and hear him rock out to Black Veil Brides and it made my heart melt. Like, I was like an emotional wreck during the whole show of BVB, and just seeing Amy and Chris just like do their thing, be the supportive parents that they are, and be their number one fan of Andy and BVB just melted my heart. And I'm just, every time I look back at the footage, I can hear in the background like Chris yelling and screaming the lyrics out, and I'm just like, this is melting my heart. So honestly, just that would probably be my favorite memory with him. So
that is fabulous.
And my favorite, obviously, meeting up with the show the day after, I got lunch and the tour. I was in the same car as Ruth and Nicole with Chris. I was like, wait, I was the same. Are we actually in his car? But like, we met back up to go, to everybody get their own cars back. But I think that getting back to his house and chatting for like an hour and a half. I'm like, this is worse than a Southern goodbye. It just never ended. Like, just chatting with him for like an hour and a half. And like, I had a 4-hour drive to get back. No. I didn't care. It was so nice just sitting there and chatting with him. I actually did get a picture with him outside the restaurant. Yeah. Get a picture with him. Yeah. Still have it saved in my favorites. It's like, it's a good memory. I love it.
That's called a Midwest goodbye, by the way. Like, if it takes that long, that's called a Midwest goodbye. Just going off of like what Bellamy and Nicole and Ruth were talking about. So I would definitely have to say, I guess I have two like top favorite ones. Number one is going to be Cincinnati. That was amazing. Just thinking about it just makes me so happy. But just after the concert, and the following day when we had that whole luncheon thing, when I found out that it was a German restaurant, and I was like, my kind of food, like, born in Wisconsin, like that's pretty much like the whole culture in Wisconsin is like German, because there is a lot of like German ancestors and stuff that moved there. But so I remember, like, I think Brandon and I were like the last ones to get there, and so we walked through the doors, and like you guys, we all had like that great big table and stuff, and Ian was sitting next to Chris, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll sit next to Chris on the other side of him. It was so nice to just like sit down and just chat with him and stuff. And, because he lived in Wisconsin for quite a bit of his life. I remember looking at the menu, I was trying to decide what I wanted. And then he's like, I can already guess what you're going to have. And I was like, what? He's like, you're going to have bratwurst with cheese curds. I was like, God damn it. I was like, how did you know? He's like, because that's what I'm having.
I heard that. I was laughing so hard when I heard that.
I was like, all right. He's like, yeah, us Wisconsinites have to stick together. I was like, yeah, man, that's so true. But yeah, that whole luncheon thing was amazing, and I left crying because it was such a great experience, and I hope like someday in the future we get to do that again. I guess my second favorite thing was after after I had played on stage at the Cedar Rapids Trinity of Terror 3 show, Chris had messaged me, and I can't even remember like word for word, but it was something along the lines of like, we're so glad that like we could make it happen and everything, like we're so proud of you and all of that. And I was just like, I'm gonna remember this forever. It's like Chris was like 100% behind it through the whole thing of me like tweeting about it and just all my flute covers and stuff and putting in that work. But yeah, just his constant support of like everybody, that really warms my heart. Yeah, those are like my top two, I guess.
I'll go ahead and go next. I told you all about my experience with him getting me backstage to meet Andy again, and so I have to put that at the top. That there's just nothing that can compare to that experience. But absolutely, like going out to Cincinnati and seeing you all, and just being in the presence of other fans that I've met online, and people I've bonded with over the years, to see you guys and meet you guys in the presence of Chris was just amazing. And I cried for different reasons. I cried because I couldn't stay.
No, that's actually a good reason to cry, though.
Literally, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to go home because I had stuff to do. I would have loved to have gone on that little excursion with y'all. I'm sure it was amazing. You stop and think about the things that Chris does. That is really going above and beyond. Above and beyond.
Absolutely.
He puts a lot of trust in these fans that he does things for, sometimes a little too much. He'll let his guard down sometimes, but he's just like, for him to do that, I just thought, wow, that is an experience of a lifetime. Because you could have all of you could have very easily gotten in a car and kind of toured around and find these things for yourself, like the school he went to and places he played and things like that. But for his dad to like take the time to do that and take his day to have, a meal and like show you all around and give you the history. That's once in a lifetime. It is an experience that probably no other fans are going to experience. Mm-hmm. So I missed out on it, but I'm so glad you all got to do that.
I'm sure there will be something down the road in the future again.
100%.
We have to do another meetup regardless.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Better.
I'm gonna go ahead and go. Favorite memory has to be Cincinnati. That's a popular answer here. And I'm also kicking myself in the butt for getting a burger and fries at a German restaurant. I'm so pissed. I looked over at Chris's, I looked over at Jasmine's, and I'm like, I even looked over at Rebecca, and I'm like, damn, everybody's food looks so good. I'm lame for what I got. But Chris, I'm knocking one back for you for your birthday, sir. And that kind of transitions into one of my favorite memories with Chris. And you can ask anybody, if there are two things Chris loves talking about, it's Black Veil Brides and beer. And number 3. And I swore to myself, if I ever meet this dude, he seems to be a beer connoisseur, I'm going to have a beer with him. And lo and behold, that opportunity at lunch presented itself. And I was like, okay, well, what are you going to get? And he said, I'm going to get a Dunkel. And I'm like, perfect. I'm going to get the same thing. And I wanted to get a picture with him just holding up some mugs. And I was like, Rebecca, could you take our picture? And Chris was like, well, wait a minute, man, my beer's like half empty. And I'm like, or it was mine or his. I can't remember whose beer was. Hold on. Take 2 seconds here. His beer was half empty. Mine was full. And he's like, this is bogus. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he goes, dude, I'm with you. And I'm like, oh, dude. I always say he's like the cool uncle I never had. But granted, my uncles are pretty cool. But like that Black Veil Brides, like dad, uncle combo, he's always like down to talk to me about anything. He's so sweet, and he always makes me feel good for who I am. So I recently shared a poem on Twitter and Instagram. It's called The Spectrum, and it's about being on the autism spectrum. And he commented, this melted my heart. He said, the Black Veil Brides family loves you for being exactly who you are, Ian. And that I just about bawled my eyes out. That was so sweet.
Absolutely.
And then one more thing, and I promise I'm done. We were at lunch. We were sitting down. We all just sat down. We're all like, hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing? Hey, how you doing? Put her in the old vice. Good to meet you. And Chris looked at me and he said, Ian, I got to tell you something. And I go, oh, what's that? So I drove Andy home last night, and Andy kind of looked over at me really quick and he goes, Dad, oh my God, Dad, I saw Ian because of where he was standing. He was really cool. And then Chris looked at him and said, oh yeah, no, Ian's very, very sweet. And wow. That was nice.
All right, Victoria, your turn.
Let's go.
Wow. Okay. I don't know, like, I can't really beat any of these favorite memories, but I don't know, like, I've had a few interactions with Chris on Twitter and stuff. We talk every once in a while, but I don't know, just a favorite memory I have, or memories, just to group them all together, is anytime I post a Black Veil cover and he'll retweet it or comment on it, or he'll like let me know that he really enjoyed watching it. And that he's just so supportive, like I said before. And you know, just seeing how supportive he is with Andy, and like all you guys said, he doesn't have to be that nice to all the fans and go above and beyond for everyone. So just whenever I receive a message from Chris of him saying that, you know, he really liked watching my covers, and like he's just like proud of me for how like better I've gone at playing guitar and bass, like that's got to be one of my favorite memories, because not all parents are as supportive towards their kids wanting to be musicians. So having kind of like the BVB dad come and tell you that you're doing a great job playing songs that, you know, his son wrote, it's kind of cool. So that's got to be one of my favorite things.
So for that, let us do our final wrap up of last belated birthday wishes. Sherry, you go first.
Hey, Chris. Long time no talk and see. Haven't been on the internet much lately, but definitely thinking about you. Always grateful for everything that you do. So from my heart, happy birthday.
Chris, happy birthday. Just thank you for everything that you do for all the fans in the BVB Army. We love the fact that you are so supportive of all of us and everything that we do, and we are just forever grateful for you. You are just super cool, and just thank you for being a BVB dad to all of us. I know we all appreciate it. I hope that you have the best birthday ever.
All right, happy birthday, Chris. I just want to say thank you so much for being so supportive of the Black Veil Brides and everybody in the Black Veil Brides Army, especially if they're doing anything from like artwork to covers or anything. It does really mean a lot to a lot of people because, like Victoria said, some parents aren't as supportive with their kids pursuing music or anything like that. So to have someone like you be so supportive of everybody in the Army truly does mean a lot. So from my heart to you, happy birthday and thank you so much.
Chris, kind of just bouncing off of everybody else here, but thank you so much for being there for like as adopting us, pretty much everyone in the Army as your child. It's really sweet. We appreciate you just being there for us. The tour you gave us last year, still thanking you profusely for that. And you know, just commenting, sharing, retweeting the things that you've retweeted with me, everybody else. And I hope you don't mind if I call you Dad, but happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Chris. It's super hard to, you know, find words that haven't already been said, but like I can't express how grateful I am to have met you, and through you have met all these lovely people on the Zoom call today and many more. Thank you for always supporting all of us and supporting me, whether it's retweeting my stuff or just giving a comment or sending me a message, sharing tweets with me. I love it. From my heart to yours. Happy birthday, Chris.
Chris, hey, how you doing, man? Here's to you, sir. Happy birthday. I cannot wait till season 4 of The Boys comes out. I know you're gonna probably binge watch it too. I love you, man. You are always so sweet, and to have someone show unconditional love to a group of outcasts just makes my heart so happy. And like Victoria and Cassidy said, it's really cool that you support Andy unconditionally in what he does, because for me, my parents don't really understand a lot of the stuff. Like, granted, they like movies, books, music, all that stuff too, but they think it's a little strange. But as parents, it's really important to still, you know, be there and support your children in whatever it is they want to do in this life. And you, sir, take that to a different level, and we adore you for it. Happy birthday, man. Thank you so much for everything that you do. We love you.
To officially wrap up the end of this video, keep it to the point. Happy birthday, Chris. You are such an amazing person. Everything that you do comes from the kindness of your heart. Like, I cannot thank you enough for everything you have done for the Army and for each and every one of us, putting a spotlight for every fans. And I'm just so grateful that you're in my life. You have changed my life. I'm sure you have changed so many other fans' life here. And I just can't say thank you enough for everything you've done. There's moments where I wish there's a bigger word to thank you, but just thank you, Chris, just so much for everything. And I really hope down in the future we can do another meetup, because that was just such a surreal feeling. And FYI, did not know you were a fan of The Boys. I love The Boys. I watch that show religiously. So, Chris, we need to talk about this now, okay? Homelander. Yes, we gotta talk about this.
Homelander.
But happy birthday, Chris. I love you so much. And I'm sure all of us are sending our loves and hugs for you on your birthday. Obviously, this is the day after your birthday, but still, happy birthday, Chris. So
should we all yell a collective happy birthday?
It's gonna be delayed, but let's do it. Okay.
Wait, who's counting down? I got it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday, Chris!